Notification here from Clark. Farhan Lalji has tweeted, the XFL has denied permission for the Eskimos to speak to Jamie Elizondo about their head coaching vacancy. I believe he would have been the favorite to land the job. Tough break for him after not being allowed to speak to the Riders before this past season. Now, that is some skullduggery. And I guess we didn't get as much into the coaching carousel last segment as I would have liked with Rob Vanstone and Darren Dubon, so let's do that now. Jamie Elizondo is the hard luck guy. He's the Rodney Dangerfield of the coaching circuit. No respect. Teams won't allow him, or leagues, to speak for jobs. It's not even December yet. Mind you, their league starts up pretty fast. Maybe that's what they're thinking. Aren't they supposed to start playing in February?
Believe so.
So maybe they're saying it's too late.
That's still not. There's still some time you would think for them to do something.
There's not enough out-of-work football coaches out there, I guess.
It's goofy. I really wonder where this coaching carousel is going to go with a lot of the, as you mentioned earlier, the coaches cap, and what kind of effect this is going to have, and not only teams being denied permission, but teams being boxed in by the coaches cap, and what measures can you take to let people go? Does that hamper you financially as far as being able to hire new coaches, and all the, how much dead money is there on your coaches cap? I wondered about the extent to which that is going to influence things, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of dominoes falling, and I'm surprised by hearing the thing about Elizondo at Edmonton, because Rick Campbell just seems to be such a logical fit there.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
He does. You brought it up, Rod, about, the timing of coaches being fired, and the interviewing and asking for permission, and what's the whole process, and you don't really let somebody go unless you've got somebody in mind. And for me, that's what BC did, right? When they let go of Devon Claybrooks fairly early in the process, it was after Rick Campbell was made available, and there was thought that there was going to be significant interest in Rick Campbell in BC. And you make that move to get rid of Claybrooks. It's like, okay, we're going to do it now because this guy's available. And if we do it now, we got 1, maybe 2, if we're lucky 3 or 4 weeks head start on Edmonton to recruit this guy. So, Ed Hervey's likely been in his ear a little bit and doing some recruiting before Edmonton could even pick up the phone, because they still had a head coach employed. So, I don't know how far those conversations went or where they're at in the process, but everybody was signed, sealed, delivered the contract to Edmonton before the season was even over, and, he had all kinds of time to speak to other teams.
And I also wonder about the general managers and what kind of magnetism they might have as far as attracting a first-tier head coach. When you look at what happened in Ottawa and the way the lack of talent ultimately undermined what Rick Campbell, a very accomplished coach and a very popular coach, was trying to do, unless you just want that first head coaching job so badly, do you want to go to Ottawa? Do you want to go to BC, seeing Ed Hervey as a general manager there and looking at that team and how they couldn't make anything go, even though they had the marquee quarterback who you think would have some attraction to a prospective head coach? You look at if there is a vacancy in Toronto, do you want to go there and
especially
walk into that kind of shambles?
Especially as a coordinator. Like, I'm thinking Paul LaPolice, and you brought it up, Rod, and it's a great point. Where's the best fit? Who's got the best pieces to fit him? And I think if you're trying to make that jump and prove that you're more than a coordinator, a head coach, I'm with you, Rob. Like, you got to go somewhere that's going to be a good fit, where you're with people you're going to work well with, who are going to trust you, who are going to believe in your plan and maybe give you some leeway. If you're sitting there being like, hey, look, I probably need 3 years to get where we need to go, and you got to stick with me, or whatever that is. If you're trying to prove that you're a head coach and you're currently a coordinator, you got to go to a place that's the right fit, not just the first person who picks up the phone.
A lot of thoughts flooding through my head here. Been around CFL coaches period, for a very long time. It's why I think that they are very special people. They're endangered species in a way. For instance, look at the Chamberlain staff. It's been how long since their season's been over? A month? Still no decision made on Corey, and no decision imminent from what we understand. How unfair is that to Corey? How unfair is that to all those coaches on his staff? I know some of them. They're just sitting there not knowing where they're going to have a job next year or not, if at all. It's just wrong, but that's the way that it is. And with this not being allowed to interview for certain jobs, there was talk a couple of years ago when this salary cap for coaches was coming in that there might be a strike amongst coaches. Are they mad enough now at the lack of ability to interview for certain positions that they might strike? I don't know. I don't like the cap. I love the fact that Jim Hobson came on here yesterday and said this needs looking at because there's problems with it. Will they look at it? And furthermore, I had supper last night with a quarterback and his dad, and they said to me, do you think the CFL's in trouble? Well, is that a loaded question? And I said, overall, no. Define trouble. Because what? On the teetering on extinction? No, I don't think so. Could it be better? Yes. Does the CFL realize they could be better? I don't know. We don't have these discussions anymore. But I'll tell you this, Rob, you wouldn't argue the CFL is a fantastic product. I believe the best brand of football on the planet. I really do. Arena League just died. NFL is the marketing machine. But if you've got a great product and people aren't consuming it, that's on you. Mm-hmm. It all comes down to marketing, in my opinion. That's it. So that's a mouthful. Over to you. Is the CFL in trouble, and does the coaches' uncertainty play into that?
I don't think they're almost two independent issues. If you look at the coaches' situation, I remember Don Matthews at the 2003 Grey Cup, and he spoke up about the situations the coaches are in, about the lack of a union,
no
the lack
pension
of benefits,
and stuff,
etc. And this has been percolating for the longest time. If the coaches wanted to get certified, if there was that kind of unity, maybe there's a chance of doing something. But until they can band together and stand up against this, they're going to continue to be in various precarious positions year to year. As far as the CFL, sometimes they talk a better game in terms of marketing than they actually execute. As far as accessibility, as far as just getting the message out there. I think there's a lot more that they could do than they do. And you've got to be the most accessible league in the world. And by and large, you can walk up to a player at practice and get an autograph in the CFL. If you want to meet Cody Fajardo, you can meet Cody Fajardo. If you want to meet Tom Brady, well, good luck with
Probably
that.
not going to happen.
A little tougher.
So there's that, but I still think there's a lot more that they can do to get out there, to get their message out. And I'm not sure that it's being done.
I realize that has nothing to do with the coaches, but that's still not a good situation with what the coaches are going through. It's oppression in a lot of ways. I believe. I know the coaches feel that way, and these are my friends. These are the guys that I talk to every day. Furthermore, Sean in Saskatoon's watching, and he says, I would not want a CFL player or coach leaving while under contract to the NFL. Not a fan of this NFL window coming back. That's a great point by Sean, and it actually illustrates how everybody's got a different vision for what this should be. Mm-hmm. I want the NFL window opened up because that's going to bring young American players more to Canada, realizing that they can get to the NFL. So we're going to have better players come to Canada than we currently have, as seeing as a stepping stone, instead of coming to Canada and thinking that this is the graveyard of their career.
Yeah.
I'm going to Canada because it's the last choice I have. Who wants players like that?
The concern I have, though, is the lack of player identifiability. And one of the things that really helped me fall in love with it was that in 1970 on the playground at Massey School, I remember my introduction to the CFL, aside from my mother being an ardent fan, was football cards. We would trade football cards. And I think I was the last person in 1970 at Massey School to get a Ronnie and a George football card. Finally, I did. It was like striking gold. But several years later, as I really developed into a football fan, a lot of those guys were still playing. And you knew that you could watch Ronnie, and you knew that you could watch George. And a number of players like that, whether it's Gord Barwell, Bob Cossid, et cetera. And you could latch onto that. If you're a player now, let's say you're a young fan and you decide you like Weston Dressler, number 7. Well, you've since replaced Dressler with Jefferson, and then replaced that with Fajardo. And there just isn't the same player identifiability. And I think that works ultimately to the league's detriment. It's like redrafting a fantasy team every year.
Yes, absolutely. And you need a little bit more continuity. And I always say get behind the players. And we're turning the page so often with this Moneyball approach because I mean, yeah, you can replace the talent for less money and pretty close to the results, but you miss so big on branding and the identifiability you talk about with the fans, and players move around the league so much. We got to increase the job security. We got to increase the longevity of players being in one market, because it happens in the NHL more and more. And I know more movement is happening, and in the NFL specifically, players are staying a lot longer in certain cities. And I think that's so key to building that fan base, because you need that attachment with kids. Who are they going to be on the playground? You can't change every year, because all your other kids are going to be like, who? They're not going to know, right? I think that's so big, and I'll never move away from that, I don't think.
RV, our time has come to an end with you. One more pitch for your book, if you don't mind. It's available in all stores. A great Christmas gift idea, right? We're going to have this thing as a bestseller by Christmas. What do you think?
Well,
shouldn't be hard.
I hope they sell as well as yours have.
Oh, right. Sure.
Yeah, it's 100 Things Rough Riders fans should know and do before they die. And I'm doing a signing tonight at Indigo in Regina from 7 p.m. until they escort me out of the store. and if you really
close the gate between Starbucks and the store, right? And start shuffling everybody out.
And if you don't want to meet me, that's fine. But my wife's there. She's delightful. And my 85-year-old sainted mother will be there too. So
awesome.
You'll enjoy meeting them, even if you find me repugnant.
You know, I actually do have a question for you on that, by the way. And I'm in that chapter's Indigo pretty much every day. It's... I call my office in the back where the two chairs are.
By the fireplace.
Yeah.
I wrote a lot of that book at the Starbucks.
I just love being in there. I love books. I love reading. And I actually have a garbage bag full of books. Everything from Al Michaels' autobiography, Colin Cowherd's, Lee Steinberg's. They're sports books, okay? Once you read them, what are you going to do with them? You'd be the guy to ask. What can I do with those books? And I don't want to have a garage sale and sell them. I want to give them away to somebody.
I'll read them.
I do.
I didn't realize you want. Oh, and I also give books to Darren, by the way.
Yeah, and I read those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do an annual fundraiser
to
benefit the Leader Post Christmas Cheer Fund. And it sells sports memorabilia, sports books. So if you'd like to donate them, I will happily accept them.
Can I drop them off at the Leader Post?
Absolutely, or I'll pick them up if you'll ever have me on the show again after this.
Oh, perfect. Done.
Great.
Making miracles happen.
See, if you bring them here, then I can pick through them first, pick the 2 or 3 or 4 that I want to read, and then eventually...
And then leave a donation to the Leader Post Cheer Fund.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, RV.
Thanks, Rod. Thanks, Darren.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.